All right, my name is Andrew Breton. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about sales today. Like many of you, I'm a franchisee. I have 31 locations, 19 of them are Anytime Fitness, so I'm really in it with all of you every single day. And corporate wanted me to discuss sales. They gave a kind of a broad stroke. They said, hey, just give them something that's going to help. So I had the option to go tactical or strategic. And with the time that we have, I wanted to give you a strategy that can really be taken home with you on Monday and actually get some traction from it. Would anybody like to increase their sales? Anybody by the show of hands? Yeah? All right. If you ever heard the concept that 10x is easier than 2x, what that means is for the amount of energy that you put into something, they'll get you a 2 times return. If you choose the right thing, you can actually get a 10 times return. An example, you could try to find a unicorn salesperson. And by doing that, you'll get a lift. A 10x move would be putting the systems to create sales gurus in your clubs. So for the same amount of time to find that unicorn versus put this in, you get a much bigger return. So let's see what we can get into today. I have a mission, and recently my company, Mastermind Gym Solutions, became a preferred vendor. And what got me excited about doing that is we really want to increase PT, not just by creating more sales, but by getting Anytime Fitness to live its identity. We talk all the time about being a coaching club. You've heard that term before. But when the average Anytime Fitness has maybe 10 to 25 clients, that's not a coaching club. That's a club that has some training in it. And I truly believe that this space that we are in at Anytime Fitness, nobody can compete. There's some blue ocean. What I mean by that is there's gyms out there that do a bunch of training, that's great, but that is not what a coaching model is. Then there's some mom and pops that might do some decent, but they haven't scaled it yet. We at Anytime Fitness haven't scaled it yet, but we're in a perfect position to do that. And I do know that once we call a force multiplier, maybe 15% penetration, this whole brand changes. What that means is you'll be able to recruit more people because we'll be known as a coaching club, truly known as it, as well as we'll be able to adjust marketing. You'll have more people coming into your club. And if you're an owner, the valuation will be able to be a lot higher. So that's really our passion and my mission being part of it being here today. So if you were at the conference in, was that Colorado 2 years ago? Mitchell put this up on the screen. This is my first club. It's in West Hartford, Connecticut, about two hours south of here. Opened in 2010. So it's still currently the club that has sold the most personal training worldwide for Anytime Fitness. As of right now, it's just over $15 million in personal training sales, not just top line revenue, and it consistently performs at that. Why is that important? Well, because in order to do that, the systems is what made that happen and be able to create that consistency. If you went to my club even 2 months ago, you would have noticed that the turf was green because that was one of the first Anytime Fitnesses to actually have turf. Back in 2011, we started something called group Group training is what we called it. And then we had semi-private to complement. So this was before AF had adopted team and SGT. And it was really set the model of what was possible to do in a club with a 30% penetration. It really took the standards to a different direction. All right. So just a little bit about my journey, just to get you where I'm coming from. There's a few things here. The first one is probably the most important and impactful. I was a very terrible salesperson. I started as a personal trainer in 2001, and I was awful. I was clunky. I was demanding people to give me money. It was awful. But that weakness became a very important part of my journey because I had to figure it out. I had to figure out who to talk to, what systems worked, what systems didn't. So I had to take it apart and build it back up. So that once weakness then became a strength. So I was able to teach and coach others how to do it, helping over $100 million worth of sales since then. And I think that is a really key point, understanding that part. Additionally, maybe about 6 years ago, we founded the Mastermind Gym Solutions. And although we help people sell, what we do is we build the full model of systems, and that's what we're going to talk about a little bit today on one that's very important. So having done this for some time, having worked with a lot of owners, there's an absolute difference in terms of the average. I think Eric was talking a little bit about this in the presentation yesterday, as well as the above average. It's not like a little different, it's very clear. In terms of the numbers, for example, the people who are in the mastermind. Anybody in the mastermind group are they here today? A few people, oh yeah, thanks for coming guys. They do about 42% more top line revenue, and they do about 158% more PT than the average. So the numbers are great, the scoreboard is great, but what's underneath that is gonna be the system to make that happen. Because there's not one magic bullet. It's a combination of putting it all together, just like a machine, and that's why it's called a sales machine. A couple of success stories. You might know Alexa Miller, small town in Ohio. We do something called WIGs. I'll tell you more about that later, wildly important goals. She had one to go from 10,000 to 20,000 in PT, and she ended up going all the way to 37,000, averages about $35,000 a month in PT. And we're talking about a very small town in Ohio. Another cool story, I don't know if you know Chris or Lyle. So they came to us, they were doing about $45,000 a month in top line revenue, so both, and they wanted to get to 8333. You know what that represents? 83,333? What's that? That's $1 million club, exactly. So that's where they wanted to get to. They end up now, they're $100,000 a month consistently generating this revenue. So again, what it is, it's about the system. So let's dive in a little bit here. So when I say, or you see that word sales, what are some of the connotations, the negative connotations around it? When I say sales, just go ahead and shout it out. What do you sometimes hear or even think? Pushy, good, what else? What's that? Motion? Oh, bullshit, yeah. Good, what else do you hear? What is it? Confident, okay, anything else? Oh, profit, good, anything else? Providing value, okay, we're getting a little positive over there, I like that. So a lot of times you hear like car sales, you know, slimy, stuff like that. Your team members, you're getting team members from all different areas of their life. If we have this negative connotation on sales, right, think about all that negative energy here, yet as owners, as operators, we need sales. That's the lifeblood of what makes this happen. It's a bit of a mismatch. So when sales is perceived as something negative, it's going to give you more negativity. And that's what we want to change when we're developing this whole system. So one thing when I say sales, very few people ask me, Andy, what do you mean by sales? Because it could mean, in my world, it means three different things. One, it could be generating revenue, right? Generating revenue. It can also mean driving traffic into your clubs, getting cheeks in the seat, getting people into your club. And then what a lot of like coaches look at it as closing sales. So somebody's in front of me, how do I convert that to a paying client or customer? All right, the cool thing is what we're talking about today is gonna address all of those, all wrapped up in one. So what I want, in terms of what are the best people doing, this is what ultimately the playbook that I'm gonna open up for you today. Number one is I wanna give you a clear, repeatable way for actually making those sales. One that you can coach, one that will get you to close at the rates that are benchmarked. Very simple. Number two is we're gonna make sure you know how to set up, what are the mechanics of setting up a brand new team member to make them profitable, and just as importantly, helping our members at the rate that they need to. Additionally, in this playbook, you're gonna learn about simple strategies to sharpen and keep sharp your team members. A lot of times we get them excited and then that knife goes dull really, really fast. And lastly, I wanna make sure that you have a framework that you can use tomorrow or Monday that you can hit your targets every single week, every single month. Again, that all ties in to the machine, all right? And it's not just for selling memberships, it's also for fitness, all fitness, recovery, and of course, nutrition. So it's gonna be beautiful. First thing we need to do is we need to align that machine. So questions for you guys. I always say it's 50% process and 50% mindset. When I say process, go ahead and shout it. You know, I have a speaker here. Does anybody want to catch the speaker? Let's see if it works. When I say process, what do I mean by process? Who can give us an answer? Anybody?
Repeatable steps.
Oh, yeah, I can hear you. Never mind. Repeatable steps. What else?
Experience process.
Say it again. Experience process. Yep. Good. So when I look at process, I think of like a recipe that like these guys are saying, that you can repeat every single time. Does anybody have a favorite burger joint? Anybody? Nobody eats burgers here? It's very good. You do, good. So every time you go there, the cook makes it the same way. They follow a recipe. When a new cook comes in, because there's maybe turnover, you're gonna get the same burger. For some reason though, in the service business, we forget the concept of having edges on what our service will look like. So that's where processes come in. Managing those processes so no matter who's in your club, you can still deliver an amazing experience. Now the other part is mindset. Now, one of the things in this day and age, people throw out words a lot of times without a lot of meaning. Oh, mindset, yeah, we're gonna have a great mindset. So let's get clear on what mindset means for sales. What do you guys think mindset for sales means? Positive. Positive attitude, go, yes. Confidence. Growth mindset, cool. So the way I break it down is 3 things. Number 1, does your team member, do you see the value in your product? Do you see the value in your product? Do you believe in that product? You know, a lot of times we get younger folks coming from Planet Fitness or Crunch, and they don't see the value because they're used to something else. Second point of mindset is, do they see the value price proposition? Yes, I like the idea of working with a coach. I see it for about $100 a month, but you're charging $300. So there's gonna be a huge problem there in the way they're looking at that. And the last part of mindset is, do they believe in the process that's been given to them? Right? I like the product and everything, I just don't follow that process because I don't believe in it. So those 3 things we've got to align in order for everything else to run smoothly. And if our team members aren't bought into that, if you're not bought into it as the owner, that becomes a little clog in that engine. Okay? Questions? Good. So the first thing we'll address is that mindset. We got to look at through our lens. We can see the world in whichever way you want, positive, negative, everything in between. So you have a choice. And that's where I use things called reframe. So there's a reframe, there's 2 of them that I really want to talk to you about that's going to help your team quicker. And that's for that ideal mindset. So number 1 reframe is selling is helping. Selling equals helping. Do you guys believe that? Right? Good. Now, not everybody believes that. They think, I shouldn't have to sell you anything. I shouldn't have to push anything. But really, you're not buying something, you're simply transferring information to give them the right information to make a better decision. That's all you're doing, you're influencing. Could you imagine if everybody on your team were fully committed to that culture? And that's what it comes down to, the culture of what that was. There'd be no more pushing, there'd be no more, the prospect will conclude that they need the resource that you have. What this also does when you create this culture of selling is helping is it opens up the amount of people that you can recruit. What I mean by that is, like at my team, we don't hire salespeople because a lot of times they have really bad habits and they don't want to follow our process. We hire people based on their core values. And that takes our funnel from here to here. Because I don't need you to be good at sales, and I'll get to the next slide in a second. I need you to be a good person and fit our values, which might be different than yours or yours. That's allowing me to grab great people. I've got coaches on my team that's been with me for 15 years, 8 years. I got some of it in the room today. And if you talk to any of those coaches or any of my team members, you're not gonna say, oh wow, they feel like they're awesome at sales, but they will outsell anybody. My average coach sells over $10,000 a month. The top ones sell $15,000 to $18,000 every single month, like clockwork, because they have EFT. And they're not, quote, salespeople. So again, I really say that if you can reframe this and change your culture on that, it's gonna be big. Second one of the reframe is selling is the easy part. Where a lot of people are like, Andy, what are you talking about? That's why I'm in this room, it seems hard. Honestly, it is by far the easiest thing that we do. Changing somebody's habits, who's been eating terribly and not exercising for 20 years. Now that's the hard stuff. Getting somebody to give me a credit card, like swipe that credit card, that's easy. And if we can't do that, if a coach or a manager can't get that credit card, then for them to be a great coach in changing the other mismatches in the client's mindset, that's a problem, okay? Additionally, we've been selling since the day we were born. Every single one of you. When you needed a diaper change, what'd you do? You cried, right? When you finally got some language, you yelled and screamed. It was a little bit rudimentary, but eventually you got what you needed. And that's all we're doing. We're changing the perspective of the person in front of us. And if we can get everybody on your team to think, shoot, sales is easy, by a show of hands, would that help your facilities? Yeah? Absolutely. All right, so now we're gonna get into the universal sales process. So this is one piece of their overall pie, okay? What we use and develop is called the Needs Analysis, Practical, and Presentation, also known as the NPP. What is really important about this is, again, it can be used to sell anything you want, fitness, nutrition, recovery. What I want to drive home here is it's a universal language for you and your team. So that means you can coach using the same language. Hey, how did you do on that last FC? Well, my needs analysis was crappy. Can we work on that? Or, you know, everything was good except my presentation. So it's a universal language to coach and develop, and everybody's marching to that same beat. And when that coach happens to leave or that manager happens to leave, no problem. We bring somebody else in and we train them on this system. All right? That's going to avoid, if any of you, has any of you ever done this with your revenue? A little wavy, up, down, up, down? When you lose a coach, do you ever lose revenue when you lose a coach? Yeah? All right. So let's break this down. Before I forget, part of our mission, again, is to create Anytime Fitness as a coaching club. If you want this newsletter, it comes every 2 weeks to give you tips and tools to help you move your club into a coaching club. So it's great stuff. We also pull a bunch of stuff in the industry that will be helpful for you, so feel free to scan that and take that. All right, step 1 of the universal sales process, needs analysis, okay? I'm gonna teach this in 2 ways. One, I'm gonna give you the why, the purpose behind it, and then how to do it, okay? First thing I'm gonna do is find the X factor. What do I mean by the X factor? What's that? Emotional hook, good. What else? Finding that why, right? So exactly. So we gotta get to the pain, which is emotion. Is losing weight an X factor? No, not even close. All right, what is the losing weight going to do for that person? How are they gonna feel as a person? That's getting to that, because why do we need to get to that emotion? Why do we need to get to that emotion?
That's what gets them pulled through.
And why is that?
Because humans are emotional animals.
Yeah.
We make decisions emotionally and back them up logically.
That's right. Emotion creates motion. The only reason you guys got up today is because you probably were hungry at some point. The only reason you eat is because of emotion. So we're driven by that. And yes, we justify in logic. So that's where we got to figure that out. And I'll show you how to do that in a second. We also need to find the objection. Now let me be clear. We didn't offer anything at this point. We don't offer any sales or like, would you like to work with us until the last 10 minutes. This is all give. This, like for example, if you're doing FC or even somebody's coming in to take a look at the club, this is a gift that you're giving them, whether they buy or they don't. So many people have no idea why they're coming to the gym. My husband told me to come in. My wife told me to come in. I gotta lose some weight. They don't even wanna talk about in their minds why they wanna lose weight because it gets a little bit too deep. So that's where just by simply coming in and asking these questions, it's very helpful. But anyways, we're not talking about buying anything, but we are gonna figure out their objections. How do we do that, you think? How do we figure out their objections without even asking them to buy something?
Ask them the right questions before the objections come.
Ask them the right questions before the objection. Give me an example.
So if you're trying to figure out if time's going to be an objection, right? You're going to ask them the questions of how many times are you planning to come in and use in our gym? What time can I expect to see you today? So you can already formulate when they're going to be in your gym, so time can't be an objection when you go to do the presentation.
Yeah, so building off of that, you're going to hear just from the conversation, oh, my brother, he's a trainer, or my sister's a trainer, or I'm coming from Planet Fitness, or I just need to use the machines, or I don't have a lot of time. So these things are just gonna come out in the conversation. Now we're not gonna overcome them right now, but we need to have this information to help move them along the line later, okay? We need to make sure that they're comfortable, that you're comfortable with what those objections are. The last thing that you need here is gonna be finding the gap. This might be newer for some. So the gap is what they think they need to do versus what they need to do to get to their goal. For example, Mrs. Jones thinks she just needs to do a lot of cardio, when in fact she needs to hit the weights as well. Mrs. Jones thinks she just needs a plan, but yet her history shows that she needs way more than a plan. She needs that accountability. So figuring out what that gap is so that we can close it by the time we do actually ask for the sale. Make sense? So how do we do this? Very simply, we're gonna do 4 things. We're gonna ask open-ended questions. And I'll do a little demonstration in just a second. We want them to start expressing what's going on. Number 2 is we're gonna do affirmations to let them realize that it's good to share because it's going to help them. 3 is reflections. We're gonna pair it back to show that we're listening. And lastly, we have to give a summary. We have to give a summary so that they can see exactly what their life looks like right now. Imagine somebody doing a portrait of you. this is when you turn it around and say, hey, is that you? And you're like, oh, yeah, that's it, okay? So one of the ways we do this, here's some questions. We're in a big room right now. We're not gonna do full role plays. I'm just gonna give you a demonstration. Where'd Matt go? Oh, there he is. I'm only gonna use 2 questions. 2 of my favorite questions are gonna be, tell me more about that, and how does that make you feel? What I'm gonna do in this particular role play is gonna be more robotic. Use that microphone right there. Thanks. It's gonna be a little bit more robotic, but to give you the power and how deep we can go in a short period of time. Hey, Matt, tell me a little bit about what's your goal.
Looking to lose some weight, Andy.
Awesome, tell me more about that.
Went to the doctor and told me I needed to make some changes, and the wife said, hey, you gotta get rid of the dad bod.
Oh, wow. So your wife said that to you?
Yeah, discreetly.
All right, how did that make you feel?
Like I better get rid of the dad bod.
So tell me more about that. So what do we have to do?
I just need to get in better shape. I know that it's affecting my quality of life, and got a little bit of history with the family as far as where things are, so I want to get ahead of that as well.
So you have a history of some problems in the family with health?
Diabetes, high blood pressure, so pretty borderline right now.
Gotcha.
And I need to get ahead of that.
And knowing that, how does that make you feel?
Scared, honestly. I didn't think when I went into the doctor that was going to happen, and I've got a family. I want to make sure I can be there for them.
Gotcha. Tell me more about that.
Well, I want to make sure I can have a good life for my kids and start setting a better example for them.
Cool. All right, end scene. Thank you. Oh, yes. Give him a round of applause. Thanks, Matt. So again, I just used 2 questions. We had 1 minute, and that's the idea of going deep quickly. Obviously, you'll have more time when you're with somebody, ideally about 15 to 20. What I want you to do is just turn to the person next to you. We're just gonna go for 1 minute. One person will be the potential client. The other person will be the salesperson. You get 1 minute on the clock, and you want to figure out the why, the X factor, the gap, and you want to figure out the objection in 1 minute. All right, so choose who's going to go first. You just got 1 minute on the clock. Go ahead and give it a try. Okay, and that's a minute. End scene. Scene's over. Oh, they like these questions. Okay, that's it. Time's up. Is this mic on? Yes. Bring it down. Bring it down. Thank you. Good. You guys must like role playing in this room. That's fantastic to hear. Because in order to get good at this, we got to be able to role play. So who figured out the X factor? Anybody figure out the X factor? Yeah, less than a minute. Anybody figure out what the objection might have been? B? Yeah, anybody figure out the gap? 1 or 2? Okay, so that's it, right? So that, of course, just like anything, any craft takes practice. And because what I see so much when I meet a new coach or I meet somebody newer to the business, they want to talk about the business. They're excited about Anytime Fitness, or they just got their NASM and they're excited to talk about all the different phases and this and that. We've got to make sure that we're getting to the questions. And here's just a little pro tip is that you want to do 20-80, 80-20 rule. That means that the client is talking 80% of the time and you are only talking 20% of the time. So if you're a manager, coach, owner, and you're walking by a fitness consultation in the first 5 minutes and all you hear is your coach, really talking about how great he or she is, we know there's a coaching moment later, okay? If you don't already have, this is common sense, but maybe we don't have it, you make sure that you have an intake form. The one on the right you can get from corporate, the one on the left you can get from us. We designed it so that we go very simple so that our newest coach can start selling training, our newest team member can start selling training and memberships right from the get-go. So if you want that, we can get that for you. But it walks everybody through it so they don't have to just start thinking about questions. All right, step 2, we gotta make up some time in the air here, is the practical. Practical, the purpose of the practical is simple. It's to create that emotion that we got and charge it up and amplify it and overcome those objections. Again, we haven't asked for a sale yet, but we need to start overcoming those objections. We don't do it in the needs analysis. How we do that is very simple. One is we coach them. So whether you're doing a tour, so like somebody comes in to check out the gym, put them on a TRX, put them on battling ropes, you don't have to be a certified trainer to do that. Just get your team member to know 1 or 2 functional pieces of equipment. And then this is where we start linking the gap. This is where we start closing, I should say. For example, Mrs. Jones said, hey, just show me the machines. That's gonna be great for me. Awesome. We're not gonna show the machines, but as they're doing their lunges, as they're doing their things with rotation, we're gonna say, see, Mrs. Jones, not only are we working your legs, but working your glutes, your core, your shoulders, and you're increasing your metabolism as we go, because one of the goals that you have is that you wanna be able to keep up with the grandkids. So we're just sewing it in there. We're not like selling, we're simply educating at this point. So then step 3, so we did the needs analysis, we did the practical, and now we do the presentation, where a lot of people think the presentation is show them the prices. Well, yes, we have to show them the prices, but not until the very, very end, because we haven't even asked for the sale yet. So how do we do this? Is we want to tie everything, what we're doing is we're tying everything together. We've figured out what this person is. We've figured out the emotion and how we can help them. We've taken them out on the floor, we've evaluated, and then we're gonna put it all together, just like a doctor will put it all together. And that's all we're doing here. So how we do that is simply match the solution to the problem and close the gap. Let's say you got a leaky pipe. So if you're not a plumber, you call a plumber. They say, hey, it's not leaking there, it's actually leaking over here and it's just dripping all the way through. So this is a problem. If this doesn't get fixed, it can X, Y, or Z. So now you can make a decision. You have a problem, do you want to solve it? Yeah, because it's gonna flood my basement when I go away next week. So we fix it. That's all we're doing here. We're just linking the solution to the problem. It's a done deal, and that's what makes it so easy when we teach our team how to just have these conversations. Again, have a presentation form, real simple, just so people can see the visual. Some people, they can just hear me and they're getting it. Some people need to see the words. Some people need some pretty pictures, and we all love before and after pictures. So this teaches your coach systematically how to make that burger the same every single time. How many of you use something like this for a presentation? Okay. So some of you have nothing at all. This would be a big, take this and run with it. It's fantastic. Okay, so to recap, needs analysis, practical, and presentation. This is how you convert fitness, nutrition, and recovery on a regular, systematic way. So now I'm gonna teach you how it all fits. Oh, we got a good success story. Have any of you met Joy? Joy's not here? Any of our team members here yet? Oh yes, very good. She had a goal of, this is a crazy one, she had a goal from go to 10 to 15K in PT, and she's already at 45,000 month in and month out. How many members are in that club? 700 members doing $45,000 a month in PT. One of the things that she cited was the fact that they didn't have the NPP. They didn't have a system for converting sales. So it made a big difference for her. All right, back to the program. So let's make it easy with the right system. So now that we know how to sell, we now have to, this is the engine part of the whole entire machine. So it's gonna be onboarding, training, and execution. So let me break that down. So who's got a great onboarding process? Yes, you do, Davin. Where'd you get that from? Good. Who feels that they can improve their onboarding, like a new coach, a new team member? Okay? Yeah, this is such a huge one. Guess how much it costs to onboard somebody, whether they make it or they don't in the first 90 days, just from resources, not even their pay. About $15,000 to hire. By the time you find them, recruit them, using your resources like your top team member to train them. Okay, here's the bathroom, here's how we do this, $15,000. So if they make it, it's 15 grand. If they don't make it, it's 15 grand. So let's try to make sure they make it. So with your onboarding, there's 4 things that we got to make sure. So if you don't have these parts, this is going to be good stuff for you. Number 1, have someone accountable to that new hire. So many times in the past, I learned that you can't just have everybody train that person. Well, you can and you can't. You got to have one person who's accountable, who's managing the onboarding. All right, on Thursday, you're going to be with Sally. On Friday, you're going to be with Joe. And then on Monday, you're going to be back with me. Somebody has to own it, because if this team member succeeds, they get the praise. If the team member doesn't succeed, we need to figure out where the problem is, and it has to be one person. So that's a huge one, although it seems little. Number 2 is we have to have clear expectations. So for my team members, we lay it out on day one. Day one, for example, a coach, we tell them you've got to get your recurring revenue to $3,000 a month by day 90, and you got to book at least 60 of your own FCs. Why do you think I do that on the very first day? We have them sign off on it too. Why do I do that on the first day? So expectations, that's right. Unlike college, right? You go, you cram, you take a test, and then you can forget all the information, right? That's how a lot of us have learned. I've done it. Here, we got to apply it, and I want them to know that you need to apply that, and the expectation starts on day 1, so that when they're learning the information, sometimes it comes out like a fire hose, they're going to be more programmed to make sure that they're absorbing that information. So day 1, we set those expectations. This is what a lot of people do. They give them tools. We break tools down to 3 categories. 1 is the actual knowledge itself. That's where a lot of people stop. The skill, the ability to apply that knowledge, and then ownership. the ability to continue doing that process without anybody else helping me. And they're owning it. So those are the 3 key things in order for giving them tools. And lastly, of course, is going to be your follow-up. You got to make sure that you have check-ins 30, 60, and 90, and you need to be prepared on day 90 to cut ties, in my opinion, simply because if I had a coach that's at $1,500 recurring revenue on day 90, when the expectation is $3,000, it's not going to be worth the time to continue. Now, if they're at like, say, $2,500, we'll give them a 30-day extension. Right? Because if we don't do that, we're already sending a message, yeah, I have these really great expectations, and then if you don't hit them, it's okay, we're still gonna love you. Well, that's what we don't wanna set from the beginning. All right, because behavior that goes unchecked is behavior that is assumed correct. How are we doing on time? Okay, good. You guys know Mark Ireland? Yeah, he's an OG. So what I love about Mark is that even with all this information and knowledge and time, he still wanted to get more. He still wanted to learn more. He's been in our group for about 18 months now. He had a wildly important goal of increasing, revenue by 10% and doing it by 21%. So huge, right? His clubs have been there for anybody from the Ireland group here? Nobody's in here? Okay. Awesome stuff, awesome work, so good stuff. Oh, and one of the reasons is because his onboarding wasn't very good when we got with them. Change it up, mix it up, and there it is. Okay, who does sales training here with their team every week? Sales training, good. Good. Anybody have any mentorship programs within your company club? A little bit over here, good. You blue stars, you're good. Anybody else? All right. So they go hand in hand, let me tell you. Structured sales training is what we all need to do. It's sharpening that saw. You could have the best 90-day onboarding and then you don't see them anymore, you don't train them anymore. That knife gets super dull. So therefore, we've got to structure that sales training every single week. All of our team members got to be on a call at least once a week, even the best ones, because we can get rusty, if you will. We have a bad conversation with our girlfriend, we come back in, we're rusty already. We go on vacation for 7 days, we get rusty. So we've got to make sure that's ingrained. What really helps, what we noticed, is designated teachers. By having designated teachers, these are, quote, the pros, making sure that they're getting, your team members are getting the same type of training. So you don't just say, hey, do you want to go ahead and train our team this week? No, it's very structured in that sense. You couple with mentor, the difference is mentorship is like how to develop that person, not just in sales, but develop them in the industry. And that really ties in nice. Because I'm sure some of our coaches give pushback for sales training. Is that safe to say? They give you a little pushback. When you couple it with mentorship, it's just a natural fit. What do you think we need to do to improve here? I probably should go some sales training, right? So it's natural. So that's the big thing there. Now, Jason White. He's been in the system many years. He's got 15 locations in the Midwest. And what's interesting, his wig was to get the good stuff, that profit. He wanted to increase it by 5%. 5%. End up increasing it by 32%, which is huge. I would be venturing to say that these gyms, his system is probably the most profitable in the whole Anytime Fitness US. So if you ever want to talk to him about that. It's fantastic. And again, it was because his team wasn't doing sales training. His team wasn't doing the mentorship calls. They started doing those sales training. They started doing the mentorship calls and things went up. Last piece here, folks, is my favorite, execution. How do we get things to happen? Because execution gives you results. Goal setting and meeting rhythms. Who feels really good about how they set goals for their team and their club? Like if I was to call your club right now and ask your manager, hey, what's the goal for October and how are you gonna get there? How many would give me the phone right now, we'll call them. How many would be that confident? You guys wanna do it real quick? No, we don't have time. But I like, I'd love to do that though. So here's how we do goal setting. Wildly important goal. This is the goal that we set every either quarter or 6 months. Like just on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, our mastermind got together. We followed up on how everybody did the last 6 months, and then we figured out, well, what do we need to do the next 6 months? And it's a real process because you got to choose that goal wisely because that's going to be your North Star. That's what you're going to be talking about for the next 6 months. You choose the wrong one, you're going a completely different direction. You want it to get to LA and all of a sudden you're in Tokyo. So that's where you've got to make sure that it's going to lift everything else up. For example, if your wildly important goal is to increase PT by 25%, in order to do that, you're gonna have to get more members, your club's gonna have to be cleaner, your team members are gonna have to be sharper, you're gonna have to do some sales training in order to get to that number. Make sense? So how many of you have like a North Star wildly important goal at least for the quarter? Okay, good. Good, good. If you don't, that's a great start. Now, we also have to break it down to monthly. Now, that doesn't mean we just take the number and divide it by 6. What we do is we figure out what's going to land with the team. Like, for example, core draft is one of my goals for my clubs. It's not going to land with the whole team. So we convert that to new membership units and long-term PT agreements. So that's what the goal is for the month. And then we break it down to the week. That one, you might be able to divide it by 4.3. However, if we get behind or ahead, we might have to change that. And then lastly, we go with a daily goal. And that can be usually, like for us, it's converted to FCs and appointments booked. So daily, weekly, monthly, and beyond. Now, how we communicate that, because communication is absolutely critical for this, is those meeting rhythms. How many people love going to a meeting? What? Thank you. A meeting should be like your favorite TV show. It's so much better than your favorite TV show because you get to interact with it. You get to interact with it and it actually affects your life. Those TV shows don't always affect your life. So a great meeting, if you run it well, people want to be on that meeting and they want to participate, and this is where communication gets dialed in. So we got the quarterly offsite, like I just mentioned, that we just did. We set the big wigs. We have our monthly kickoff, everybody on the team, right? Even if you have multiple locations, we got them virtually, ideally in person if that's possible. And then you have your wig meeting. Anybody ever heard of a wig meeting who's not in the mastermind group? Okay. So wig meetings are super important. That's that 20-mile march. We break it down to goals and commitments. What's the difference between a goal and a commitment? Commitment is something you have at least 70 to 75% control over. Phone calls, booking appointments, getting on sales training, things like that. And those things have to move the end result. If the end result is to get, say, 10 new memberships this week, well, cleaning the bathroom is not going to be as directly tied into that as booking 20 appointments. And the way we do these meetings is you can come to the meeting each week, and it's a group meeting, and you need to score at least a 1. So don't come to the meeting without a goal and without your commitment. Because the commitment, it's okay to miss your goal from time to time, but your commitment you can't miss. That tells you that I am trying. That's the how to get there. If I said I was going to make 400 phone calls and I come and made 200 phone calls, what does that tell you? So that's a big part of that 20-mile march. And then we bring it down, daily huddle. It's 5 minutes. Don't let it get too into the weeds, because then it's not a quick huddle. Just what are we doing today? Has any of you ever set expectations for your team? Everybody's like, yeah, let's do this. We say, hey, when we get out of this door, we're gonna go left. And they're like, yeah, we're going left. And then as soon as they walk out the door, they go right. Has that ever happened? Right? So that's what the daily huddle is gonna correct. Yes, we were fired up in that WIG meeting. No, nobody went in the right direction, but we'll correct it tomorrow and make sure that we're on that. Okay? Last success story here, Stacy. This is a great one. 3,000 people who lives in the town. That's it. It's a town of 3,000. Is Stacy here? Any of your team here right now? She's been a mastermind for 6 years. Her wig was, and she had no PT when she started with us, and which is pretty cool. She got 400 members, and now she's doing $60,000 a month every month with 400 members. So now a lot of us don't have, oh, Andy, I wish I had like 1,000 members. That's a lot of members. You have that, congratulations. 400 members, $60,000 a month, and then she's moving her building actually on Tuesday to her own building, and it's gonna blow up even further from there, so it's pretty exciting. So before I wrap up, before I conclude, if anybody wants to learn more about what Mastermind Gym Solutions does, way more than just sales training, book yourself a call, right? Just like an FC is so valuable for the member because they learn a little bit more about themselves. Just by going through this process, it takes about 45 minutes, you're gonna learn a lot more about your business. It's always good to do. I recommend it. So what's your immediate actions? What's your immediate actions? Number one, are you going to set clear sales process on Monday? It's possible. Don't try to do everything, even if you love it. Are you going to create an onboarding that supports your new hires if you don't have it? Are you going to implement weekly sales training and mentorship calls? Or maybe you're going to establish clear goals and clear communication with your team. Or maybe it's something else. All right, folks? So I hope that you enjoyed today's presentation. Like I said, if you want to increase your PT by 158%, book a call. My name is Andrew, and you guys have been very fun. Thank you.